All right, we're doing Pioneers and Builders in Jacksonville, just in a different location. We're at the Link. We're in the brand new podcast studio. And I want to point out that where we're recording here is somewhere that you can record too. So if at any point you want to host a podcast, you can come right on down to the Link. We'll host you in the podcast studio room, and we'd be happy to have you. Today, great guest, Tim Miscovich, Chief Commercial Officer for wtec Lighting Solutions. Tim, welcome to Pioneers and Builders, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, happy to have you here. Chief Commercial Officer, it's a sales?
Yeah, it's a sales title. I guess it's just kind of all encompassing. Basically, I handle everything except, engineering. We leave that for the engineers.
Okay. You don't like overpromise on the engineering, do you? Or you
never.
put them in a bad spot? Okay.
I'm terrified of the engineers. I would never overpromise.
It's awesome, dude. I know we're going to get into WTech and we're going to get into sales and we're going to get into your life and everything, but I want to start off because you played football in college, Eastern Carolina, and talk about that experience. What position did you play first and foremost?
Yeah, so I actually started 1AA. I'm up at Bryant University. I think we were the first D1 class to go up there. Went up north, was able to actually play some as a freshman. But, a mixture of the cold and 18, and the grass is always greener. That was short-lived, and then transferred down. Actually lived at William & Mary for a semester with the goal of trying to go there. It just didn't work out. So, reopened the recruiting. Obviously, this was back couple of years ago where things were different, where in today's world, I think 5,000 people just hopped in the transfer portal.
Yep.
It was a different world. Ended up going down to East Carolina. Sadly, that didn't work out too well with that transfer process, but that's also a life lesson that can be learned.
Talk about that. What was that? If it didn't work out, what does that mean?
Definitely. Obviously quality of play is a big aspect of that, but it's, transferring in, obviously new coaching staff, things come around, it's just different. I thought about it for a while about what it was. And, obviously there's times of frustration and other stuff, but coming back to realize, things happen for a reason. And that, kind of propelled me, funny enough, through my original school contact to go over and play overseas, which I was fortunate to do for 8 years. So, some people get really disgruntled when things don't go their way, but kind of that was a perfect life lesson that maybe the bad leads to much better things down the road.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. What position were you?
Quarterback.
Oh, you were the head honcho.
Not I tried to be. As I was a quarterback, I tried a little bit of everything, even at both schools to find that niche, whether it was trying to punt, tight end, whatever, just trying to find some place to make myself, just good for the team.
Yeah, valuable.
And valuable. Just, college, I'd say college was a little bit disappointing on my end, but, it's all good. I got a degree out of it and was able to continue that career overseas and put me in the position I am today.
That's awesome. And we're going to dive into that here in a second. Sometimes it's funny when people talk about playing football because, I'm from Austin, Texas. And when you're my size and you live in Texas, you play football, right? And I was playing defensive line freshman year and I got really upset at something. I think it was a missed holding call. It was something so dumb. And I just went and I kicked the ball as hard as I could. And it went so far that the next day they made me the punter. And it's just, what kind of defensive end becomes the punter? But sometimes it's the pivots, like you said, you just kind of get on the journey and let it take you where it needs to. And it led you to this. And we're going to unpack that a little bit. I was going to ask you about how you ended up overseas because I saw on LinkedIn that you kind of were in Germany and then you took some jobs while you were there. So I assume maybe it was Germany. Is that where you ended up playing overseas?
Yeah, I was fortunate to play in the German league. I went over and then through that, obviously was able to establish a network and one thing led to another. And funny enough, all my career success so far has came some way, shape, or form from football.
Yep.
And always, we were discussing earlier that experiences from football help you
100%
succeed in sports or in your career as well. But so I was fortunate to play 8 seasons in the German leagues, and my body doesn't thank me for it. But the experiences, learning foreign languages, traveling the world, and obviously coming through that network into the career I am today is, it's fantastic.
Absolutely. Have you sales roles mostly?
So at FedEx, I was doing like industrial engineering. So that was a lot of strategic planning. So we were, shaping how the processes and flow of FedEx would work through all the major airport hubs. That was really cool because, we got to be at the airport on the field. It was really, really cool seeing the planes, go in the planes. As an, aviation geek, that was really, really cool. And then at State Street, on the ATF desk that we were trading, and we were dealing with billions of dollars. It was Wolf of Wall Street, ish with all the money that was moving, but like without any of the coolness. It was very, very, very basic, doing FX trades, handling money through the Central European market for all the State Street funds. So that was cool. And then, I came into the position I am now with wtec. I'm complete by chance. I'm completely underqualified, but,
Yeah.
definitely happy that it worked.
Good. The transition from football into the professional world, like you said, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but now that we're on camera, I definitely want to ask this. The values of football, hard work, determination, grit, getting hit, and then bouncing back. Why do those values transfer so well into like the business landscape, into the world, maybe even just entrepreneurship, sure, but even the business world and corporate America too?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture. So, you see in the business world, veterans and athletes typically have a commonality and success in a lot of ways. You can't compare anything that we go through to be the same. Our hardest day is still an easy day for the veterans, but that focus on, schedule, discipline, having that mental strength through the adversity. And in football, your 5 a.m. workouts, then you have film, then you have class in college, then you have workouts again, practice and film and study hall. So that, you don't realize how much effort you put in when you're doing it, but then you look at it compared to what a lot of other people do. That's not normal. The stuff you go through all day, every day is not normal. The football, the training, the physical training, whether it be, boot camp or continuous training in the military and or football, running stadiums, lifting insane amount of stuff. It's puts a toll on your body, but also on the mental strength, which I think allows us to not get put down, not be afraid of challenges. When things happen, it's, as a quarterback, I've been sacked a million times. I've thrown interceptions. Things have not gone well. I've made bad reads. And, also the verbal criticism that you take over the years. I think it kind of, I don't want to say calluses you, but puts a different level of perspective on everyday challenges that some people may stress out about or, get overwhelmed, where for us, it's kind of just another day in the office.
Isn't it interesting though that you don't know that it's a different world until you're in the other world? So you and I played football. I stopped playing after high school, but you went and played college and professional, so you played much longer than I did. But once I left high school, I joined the service, and when you're that age and that's all you have no idea that the verbal takings and the running of the stadiums and the laps and the weight room stuff. And for us, it was marching and among various other things, a lot of training, as you mentioned. But like you're in that world, you're immersed in it. That's all you know. So it's kind of interesting that you wouldn't understand that being a chief commercial officer is a completely different life than what it's like. You just think it's a normal day because you get up and you do it. You have no other choice.
100%. And then obviously the bad habits stick with us. At 5 a.m. we wake up without an alarm clock.
Yeah.
And you just go.
Without an alarm clock, for us in the service, we thrive on coffee. I don't know about athletes, but man, we're just black too. Just put it in the cup.
Black and strong. That's all we need.
So ECU, Germany, 8 years. Obviously through professional means or wtec, wherever it is, you found your way to Northeast Florida. How did that happen, and why did you pick this region?
So yeah, when I came back, I had family ties to the area. Originally from Northern Virginia, which is, where a ton of data centers are. Obviously, comparing at that time, that was 2018, 2019 when I came home. Cost of living, quality of living, all the stuff, thinking down the road of a family, etc. This area has it all. Obviously things have changed in the last couple of years. Everything's gone significantly more expensive here, but it's still very affordable. And, with that, all the amenities and everything's just gotten better. So, I think this area is growing and thriving, very similar to that Northern Virginia area that I grew up in, that went from, farm fields to probably one of the most wealthy counties in the country. So we're seeing that trend up here as well. A lot of interesting people moving in. I think diversity makes us better, but still maintaining that good quality and core values of the local community is really important as well.
Okay, well, we're glad you're here, man. I know. I guess I'll plug this in now. I was going to save it to the end, but you're leaving us for a little bit, and you're going to go experience some life overseas.
Travel a lot, so I have 2 little ones now. I think the oldest has been to 10 countries, with some of them multiple times. The youngest has 2 and's been to 9.
Yeah.
So, fortunate in this position to, have a global footprint in our business. We're deployed now in 30 countries, which we'll get into, and have entities around the world. So being able to support and grow the
Mm.
businesses globally is really, really important.
Your youngest son,
Daughters,
$2, excuse me, your youngest daughter has been to as many countries as I have, and I deployed
yeah.
in the U.S. Navy to multiple countries. That's good on you for giving them that experience, but obviously good on them for being able to have it. That's awesome,
Great little travelers, and gotta give them that experience while I can.
dude. Great, it's wonderful. So, in the you fell into WTech. You said it's kind of by happenstance.
Yep.
What was the happenstance? How did it happen? And talk about what I think you've been there 8 years.
8, 9, something like that. Yes,
Yeah,
it's
so you've
been
been
a
there a
while.
while.
It's been a while.
So how'd you fall into it, and talk about your time with the company?
Funny enough, so Kevin Kaufman is a Army Reserve now,
Mm.
has rose up the ranks. He's still living in Germany. He ran the federal division for a U.S. company, fan of ours, and said, after a game we started talking, and he said, "Oh, you got to meet these guys." And went and met with Daniel Massey, who runs the German company for us. He's more of the technology engineering brain, and we sat down, had a good talk, and when we made that decision, I had no idea what we do. I didn't know anything about it, but, the vibe was there, the concept, the vision. And so kind of, we had that conversation and said, okay, let's do it. So they took a leap of faith on me and I took a leap of faith on them. Here we are 8, 9 years later. And, I'm very, very fortunate for it.
That's awesome, dude. Including myself. I did some reading on WTech, but there's a lot of people who are going to watch this and hear WTech for the very first time.
Yeah.
Who is WTech? What do you guys do?
Actually really common. We don't spend a ton of money on marketing, but so WTech, we're the manufacturer of the smart engine technology, which is a lighting and sensor technology based on a low voltage infrastructure. So basically, we're taking all the line voltage out of the ceiling to power and control light fixtures, and then using that same single cord infrastructure to deploy a fine mesh sensor network, so that we can collect a ton of data and make buildings, smart and sustainable.
Yeah, one of those buildings is the one we're in. So let's walk through that. So the link was built in 2021. I mean, it was under construction before that, but
Yep.
went live in 2021. And I've heard for days about the light sensors and that they can kind of change as the sun comes up and comes down and stuff. But when you guys pictured this project, what went into it, and kind of help people understand the process of installing your technology into a building like this?
Yeah, so this one was fun. Meeting Regu at a chamber breakfast. We got sat next to each other, and then I don't think we listened to a single word of the presentation because we ended up just talking tech the entire time. Looking at the space, it's, a mixed use space, so you need the flexibility. And, the lighting in itself, turning lights on and off is not rocket science. It's something that we've been doing for quite a while now. So, Regu's vision of having a sustainable building, obviously the smart aspect as well. So our sensors, get built in throughout the ceiling. We're collecting data per sensor, per grouping, aggregated data, and we're feeding that through APIs out to, the BMS system. We have indoor air quality data that can be measured, space analytics, how's the space being used, all that stuff that goes into the additional value. And then on the backside, yes, we're turning lights on and off. We're doing per fixture daylight harvesting. Buildings, beautiful. I think we have 28 to 30 feet of solid glass in the majority of the space. So we get a ton of natural daylight here in Florida. So every light, if you go out and look, it's a little bit different because each one's operating independently, allowing us to save a ton of energy. I think in here we're $4-5 a day ish, for lighting was, comparatively 75-80% better than a traditional lighting system. And so we're saving all of that money on the front end, on the back end for, the daily operation cost. But, that's a small piece of the pie. It's really that insights to how's the space being used? What are our busy times? What are our peak times? What areas aren't being used? Can we restructure those? What's the quality of air? And is that data going back to the BMS system to make sure, the heating and cooling is optimal for the best level of comfort? And obviously, our cooling bills in Florida are a little bit higher. Every a penny saved is a penny earned.
Okay. Excuse me. So the concepts are really cool. I'm not that techie, so
Cool.
half of what you said went straight over my head. So let's say I'm building the Link 2.0,
Yep.
and we're going to build it from the ground up. The foundation hasn't even been laid yet. But we know that we want to use smart technology in the building for lighting, for air quality, for everything you just mentioned. What is the process of wtec coming in and installing the
So
sensors?
design wise, your lighting design is the same way it would be with a traditional system. The difference from the deployment is the line voltage electricity stops in your comms room. Our head end devices can then convert that line voltage to low voltage because LEDs themselves are natively low voltage. So why run line voltage everywhere? And then after that, they just pop in. In many cases, the sensors are integrated or they go into a ceiling tile or an open ceiling concept into some form of like a mounting device. And then it's just, a low voltage cable. So the same little RJ45 cable that connects your Wi-Fi at home, that's what we use to transmit power, control, and receive sensor data back from the field. So it's just simplifies it. This space, was installed by 2 guys. Very easy. Pull
That's
some
it?
cable, hang
2
some
guys.
light. 2 guys pulled some cable, hung some lights, plug and play. It's all very, very easy. Anybody can do it.
What's the sustainability like? I mean, is there a maintenance that comes with that? Is there like how long does this stuff typically last? Is there
Yes. We have commercial deployments running 12, 13, 14 years still without being touched. So obviously the better it's maintained, the longer it will live. But I think in this space we've had in 4 years, we had 1 light fail. That wasn't on us. And some that's about it.
are you blaming Ragu for the light failing?
No, it was water. A water leak to the light, but we found it. So we joke that we also do leak detection, but no, that's not the case. But in general, it's very reliable as long as it's in a properly conditioned space. So obviously, with anything, there's always a risk of failure, but our MTBF and everything is double digits in years, and we have the deployments out there globally for 10 plus years running.
That's awesome, dude. That's so awesome. Outside of the sensors themselves and the longevity that it appears you guys possess, what is it about wtec that is unique in this space? What do you guys do that maybe your competitors don't?
So I'd say it's in a couple ways. So first, we're kind of a boutique-ish service company, in the sense that we don't have a crazy corporate hierarchy structure. We don't, we're not rigid in the sense that, there's so many users of our technology out there that I'll get a text message from and I'll handle stuff even though I probably shouldn't because we have people better qualified than me to do that. But, we're a very boutique service in that sense that you're not getting some formal 6-week process. You're getting quick answers. We're really hands-on. And I think it's because, in the lighting space as well, we're a technology company that does lighting, not a lighting company that tries to do technology. And then to us as a company with the infrastructure that we have, as I mentioned, we're deployed in 30 countries because category cable is the same here as it is in Germany, as it is in the UK, as it is in India, as it is in Australia, as it is in Singapore. So for us, we can truly deploy globally. All that matters is what voltages our head end unit getting. So we have that ability to roll out with clients globally without impacting different types of UL listings, standards, local code compliancy issues because it's a standardized low voltage technology.
Yeah. Cat cables are like one of the only things that are truly universal.
Exactly. And that's why our head end device, we have a C20, which is, your typical computer plug. So you can put whatever it needs to be. If it's the UK with a, 240, Europe with a 230, the different types of plugs. So we just made it interchangeable. So it can go anywhere.
Outside of the link, which not to like blow smoke, but you did great. This is a great building. The lighting works fantastic. I work out of this building. But outside of the links, I know we're here. What's your favorite project that you guys have worked on?
That's a good one. So I'd say I love doing data center projects because they're really easy and they're really big. But I think my favorite project, of course, is the link. But no, so we've done some really, really cool projects in New York City, with the Rockefeller Foundation, Remy Contreau. We did a really, really cool one with a nonprofit out of Long Island called Harmony Health, which is beautiful and, similar to Regu here at the Link, who's very hands-on. The CEO of that organization is very hands-on, very technology focused. So, those are probably the most fun projects when the people involved are actually interested in what we do. That makes it exciting because, it's a two-way conversation that, and then growing and testing and playing and getting feedback and making adjustments. Those are the projects that I think are the most fun.
For anybody else who wants to be a part of that, like, have the lighting at the link has or the projects that you just mentioned, what's the process for somebody who has a building or is in the process of building a building to engage with wtec, to have you guys come out and at least provide some level of consultation before they they make a decision? If they wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to engage?
Probably best to just go via the website, wtec.io. A couple different places to contact us on there. We'll get back to you very, very quickly. And, we provide that design support and that kind of A to Z walkthrough. This is what it is. This is what it's not. Being that we are kind of I don't want to say a boutique service, but also niche. We're not a standard technology yet. For us, we want to make sure the best project and the best outcome for the client. So there's projects we just walk away from because it doesn't make sense or it's not going to make sense for the client. So I think, happy to help it, happy to look at anything and help, find the right solution for that project.
Okay. I think we covered wtec. Is there anything I missed on wtec?
No, I think that's about it.
For now.
For now.
For now.
We can dive really deep on tech one day if you want.
Yeah. I would love to, honestly. I don't understand most of it, but I'd love to understand it. So that would be great.
Love to.
But one thing I do understand is this building, and you're an advisor for this building, formal advisor. 2 questions coming off of that. Why? And the second question is, what does that entail?
So why? One of the best lessons I learned is surround yourself with people you enjoy being around and that make you better. And, the group here, especially, regular with the conversations we have, we don't see eye to eye on everything all the time, but we never have a bad conversation. And that's really important in life. And, I believe in the concept of having, in today's world, I work remote, being in the house all day with my family is absolutely amazing. I get to spend more time with my family on a day than most people do in a week. And I love that. I'm so blessed to have that opportunity. But there's also times where it's nice to come into a community of your peers, surround yourself with people in the industry, sometimes just, talk over a coffee and have a therapy session because, we'll call it a therapy session.
Yeah.
Because, people from in this building, you have insurance, you have tech, you have, to rockets, food, you have everything, you're such a good mix of people and you never know who you're going to meet, conversations you're going to have. And it's funny, like having conversations here that turn into like running into somebody at the Isle of Publix, so it's, and seeing what that comes out. And then, supporting the vision is, I think, the scene from day 1 to day 2 to day 3 to day 4. I mean, we're in year 4 now, going into year 5 of the link and, the growth and change and stuff like that. It's, it's also great to be involved in the community and help the community and, seeing new people that you recommend to come here and they come and they show and they thrive and they have fun and you see those groups coming together is really, really important.
Yeah, man. And all that started with a chamber conversation. Now you're a part of it.
I think they knew what they were doing. They threw us next to each other. They said the 2 tech guys are just going to talk the entire time. And here we are.
Yeah. My favorite thing that somebody ever told me was God makes no mistakes. So there's a reason it happened. We're going into year 5 here. What is the future of the link in your vision?
That's a good one. I'd like to see more local businesses, local startups, local entrepreneurs come in and use this as their space to grow and thrive. I can say from the people that I know who are in this building, knowing now what you didn't know before, I would say to any young entrepreneurs, people trying to start their own business, come here, work out of here. The people that are in this building, I would say you're hard pressed to find another building that's going to bring as many experienced, qualified, successful people together without, and it's not flaunted like at all. It's like the people that you come in, like you cross paths with, you're like, really?
Yeah.
So I think I would say recommend to people, come work here. The people you're going to meet, they're going to help you. Everyone here is super friendly and you'd be surprised who you cross paths with on some days, I think.
Okay. I think it's really good advice. As things evolve and we get more startups in the door and we get more entrepreneurs in here to meet the people you were talking about, the landscape of the link will change a little bit. But how do you, as an advisor, want to see yourself as a part of the future here?
I've been happy to be a part of it. I think from my perspective, I'd really enjoy supporting those people. Coming in, helping people who are new to the area, adjusting to the area, or growing their businesses and be able to, provide advice and support and share my experiences to help them succeed. I think in today's world, a lot of people are so focused on, give and take. And I think we just need a little bit more give. And I think we'll all be a little bit better out at the end of the day with that.
My man. Northeast Florida. We'll just say Jacksonville. The good and the bad. So what is Jacksonville, Northeast Florida, Nocatee, St. Augustine? What are they doing well for our small business owners?
I don't know if they're doing too much. I think there's attempts. I think making it a little bit more advantageous for startups, for local businesses to relocate here would be a smart decision. provide some incentives and some support to do so. I can't say I know enough on what they're actually doing to advise if they're doing it well or not, but I can say that from the people that I've spoken with and stuff, I feel like a lot of people are out there doing it themselves. I'd say the good about Northeast Florida is the people. There's a lot of great people here. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of qualified workforce here. So for organizations to come here, the talent is here. I think the bad, we can all agree, is the traffic.
It's getting really bad. It's getting out of control.
But no, I think we're in that growth phase right now that it's going to do a little restructuring and then continue to thrive for sure.
I was born and raised in Austin, Texas. And so when I grew up, I was born in 87. So I grew up in the 90s. The road I grew up on is FM 620, farm to market 620. So there are people who would do their horse and buggies. And once again, just like the military and football, you don't know that it's unique until you leave it. But it wasn't uncommon for people to go to the farmer's market, get their stuff on a horse, take it home, whatever. That's what I grew up on. That road now is a huge toll road.
And is that in Austin? Is that
North Austin?
North Austin?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a really cool deployment in Hutto.
Hutto, yeah. Yeah, I lived in Hutto for a little bit.
Nothing, and now
it's
booming.
Just dirt.
And it was nothing but fields. And now they got the highway, the whole road running right up there.
And they have a toll. Oh, yeah. They have a whole thing. It is crazy. And once again, so to get from the FM 620 to the toll road, not only was there an insane amount of traffic during construction, but even post-construction, since there was so much net migration, the traffic in Austin's really bad. And I'm seeing that with Jacksonville. We now have the construction up and running to prepare for the people who are going to net migrate here. But it seems like COVID accelerated the migration. We have more people here than we have space on the roads, and we're paying the price for it.
Yeah, I live out on 210.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel it. I mean, it's gotten way better. It would take me 45 minutes to go 5 miles sometimes.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
Now this is not even a joke. I will go to the office at my work day starts at 8:30. I'll go to the office at 6:30 just to not deal with traffic. Yep. And I don't mind.
No, I think it's definitely gotten better. Why? And I think, they're catching up, but I don't think anyone could have predicted the growth of this area. I mean, obviously some people did because it happened, but just looking at median household income, the amount of people coming in, the amount of houses that have gone up, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah. Oh, man, we could talk about this for days, by the way. Outside of Jacksonville, I'm going to leave on this. What is the best piece of advice, career advice you've received, and what is the best piece of career advice you've given?
Best piece of career advice I've ever received. So it might not be the most, this answer is going to be a different one. So
that's okay.
Business 101 at East Carolina University. I had a professor who wasn't a professor. He was a retired DuPont executive. So, and he was very unorthodox in his messaging and teaching, a little bit less from the book, more from the heart, which I really enjoyed. Yeah. As you can,
awesome.
Getting to know me, you can tell it's more my style. And I'd say it's the intercultural competence message, which I think is what's mainly allowed me to thrive, is that, learning foreign languages. In high school, I couldn't get a C in foreign language if I tried. I was awful. I think I got like a 14% in Latin, and they were like, you should probably switch classes. It was not for me. And now I speak a couple languages, so that was nice. But it was that class, I still remember to this day, the example he gave, because he was in DuPont and the expansion into Japan back in probably the 80s. Obviously heavy smoking culture, and he was like, you got to do what you got to do. He said I would always fake it. But, that message and those examples he gave, someone, for myself who's worked in, I think I've probably worked in 40 countries in some way, shape, or form now. Understanding, going in, doing the research on the front end, understanding who I'm working with, what's important to their culture, what are their norms, what are their standards, and realizing that as a foreigner, I'm coming into their country to work. So I need to understand and respect their norms and values without, compromising mine. But I think that's probably the best thing that I can actually remember to this day. 2009? I mean, it's been 17 years now. Yeah. 17 years, I can still remember that lecture. I don't remember any of the other lectures I had in college, but that one I can still remember to this day. So I think that really that message, was it career advice? Probably not, but it was a message that I received and has allowed me to excel.
Kind of was though.
Yeah.
I mean, you've applied it in business.
And, I'm not a smoker, but I was at an event in Germany, and the president of Germany had his hand-rolled cigarettes. Did I take it? Of course. And just held to the side. But if you find yourself in a position, you have to make the most of it. And I'd say from career advice I've given, I don't think I've given a ton, because I also don't think I'm probably the best person to always give advice. But I think it's focusing on the experience that I've been with younger employees in our organization, or just, people entering the career field, is to not put your blinders on. Be open, say yes, try anything, do anything, figure out how to make yourself valuable. Coming back to that, the college days, find a way to make yourself valuable. And what you think you're going to do, if you would have asked me at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, if I'd be doing what I'm doing today, better chance for me to win the lotto.
Mm.
And it's, then don't be afraid of stuff, take risk. I mean, we deal with electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, architects. I didn't know any of this. Just be open to it and surround yourself with good people. Find it, learn it, educate yourself, never stop learning, and roll with it.
Yeah. And then I think it's fair to say that you would also put out in the universe that if you're going to sit next to somebody at a chamber event or any other networking event or at a restaurant or whatever, be open to shaking that person's hand and learning their story, because you could consult and advise for that very person in the not too distant future.
And, don't be afraid to just have a conversation with a stranger. Just have a conversation.
Well,
You never know where it'll take you.
I'm very grateful for this conversation. I appreciate you being on, man. It's PB and Jack's first episode in the new studio. I'm just grateful that it was you, man. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.